The medic bay smelled like burnt metal and fear. Dr. Elena Cross pushed through the crowd of cavalry warriors blocking the doorway, her emergency kit slamming against her hip. Inside, the alien soldier lay twisted on the examination platform, his 4 arms bent at angles that made her stomach turn. Purple blood pooled beneath him, dripping onto white tile. His breathing came in shallow gasps that sounded like wine through broken glass. "Move," Elena said. The nearest warrior didn't budge. His crest flared orange, the color of contempt. "Human healer cannot touch cavalry flesh. Protocol forbids. He's dying." Elena pointed at the soldier's chest where a metal shard the size of her forearm protruded from between his ribs. "That punctured his primary lung. Maybe his secondary too. Without treatment, he has minutes." The warrior's crest darkened to red. "Then he dies with honor. Not under alien hands." Elena tried to step around him. He blocked her path, 6.5 feet of muscle and rigid tradition. Behind her, more cavalry filled the corridor, their silence heavy as stone. No one moved to help. No one challenged the guard. The paralyzed warrior on the table made a sound like drowning. "Your field medics called me," Elena said quietly. "They don't have the training for spinal trauma." "I do." "They were wrong to summon you." The warrior crossed his upper arms over his chest, lower arms resting on his plasma rifle. "Leave now. This is cavalry business." The wounded soldier's breathing changed. Elena recognized that sound from too many battlefield triage tents. The body shutting down. Systems failing one by one. She had maybe 90 seconds before brain damage became irreversible. She looked past the guard at the soldier's face. His eyes were open, aware, terrified. One of his hands twitched, trying to reach toward the door, toward her, toward anyone who might help. No one stepped forward. Elena made her decision. She dropped to the floor and rolled under the guard's reach, came up running, and slammed her kit down beside the examination table. Her hands moved without thought, pulling out scanner, forceps, synthetic tissue patches. The guard behind her roared something in his language, but she was already working. "Don't move him," she said to no one in particular. "His spine's fractured." Any shift could sever it completely. Hands grabbed her shoulders. She twisted free, kept her focus on the scanner display. Third vertebrae compromised, bone fragments pressing into neural tissue, internal bleeding in 2 chambers. The metal shard had missed his heart by centimeters. "Lucky. If you could call this lucky." "Stop." A new voice, cold as vacuum. The hands released her. Elena glanced up. The crowd had parted. A cavalry female stood in the doorway, her crest pure white shot through with silver, her armor carrying marks Elena had learned meant Royal Guard. The woman's eyes were the color of deep space, and, when she looked at Elena, it felt like being measured for a coffin. "You violate sacred law," the Royal Guard said. "Explain why you should not be executed where you stand." Elena's hands didn't stop moving. She stabilized the metal shard with quick-set foam, preventing it from shifting. "Because I'm the only person in this station who can save him. He is cavalry. You are human. Our medicine, our bodies, our protocols are killing him." Elena cut through dying tissue with her laser scalpel, exposing the spinal column. Fragments everywhere, the bone nearly powder in places. She'd need to reconstruct the entire segment. "I've studied your anatomy for 2 years. I've practiced on cadavers your medical corps provided for cross-species training. I know what I'm doing." The Royal Guard moved closer. Her hand rested on her sidearm. "If he dies under your care, you die beside him. If he dies because you stopped me, you'll have to live with that." Elena injected synthetic bone compound around the fracture site. The soldier gasped, his body trying to arch against the pain, but The paralysis held him mostly still. I need silence. I need space. I need 20 minutes. You have 10, the royal guard said. Elena didn't argue. 10 minutes wasn't enough, but it was better than a bullet in the back of her skull. She worked faster, her training taking over, hands steady even as her heart hammered against her ribs. Remove fragments. Seal the neural tissue. Reconstruct the vertebrae. Pray the synthetic compound bonded properly, with calcium bone structure. The room held its breath. The wounded soldier's eyes found hers, and in them she saw the same expression she'd seen in human patients facing death. The universal language of please, please don't let me die like this. I won't, she whispered, so quietly only he could hear. I promise. Behind her, the royal guard watched in silence. The crowd pressed closer, witnessing, judging. Elena shut them all out. There was only the soldier, the wound, her hands, and the steadily decreasing time she had to prove that some things mattered more than protocol. His breathing stabilized. First good sign. His neural readings showed decreased inflammation. Second good sign. The bone compound began to harden, fusing the fragments into a stable structure. Third good sign. Elena allowed herself half a second of hope. Then she went back to work. The spinal reconstruction took 8 minutes. Elena's hands ached from the precision work, but the synthetic bone held, fused clean with the soldier's natural structure. She sealed the neural tissue with a membrane patch, then turned her attention to the metal shard. Removing it without causing catastrophic bleeding required perfect timing. She positioned clamps around the entry wound, prepped coagulant foam, and met the soldier's eyes. This will hurt, she said. I'm sorry. She pulled. The shard came free with a wet sound that made several warriors turn away. Purple blood welled up, but Elena was already flooding the cavity with foam, pressure, synthetic tissue. The soldier's scream cut off as his body went into shock. Elena hit him with a stimulant, watched his vitals spike then, settle into something approaching normal. Done, she said, stepping back. The royal guard moved to the table, examined the work with an expert's eye. She pressed 2 fingers against the soldier's neck, checking his pulse, then ran a scanner over his spine. Her expression revealed nothing. He lives, she said finally. The paralysis? Too early to tell. The neural tissue needs time to heal. Could be days, could be weeks. Elena stripped off her gloves, suddenly aware of how much blood covered her uniform. But he has a chance now. The guard studied her for a long moment. You risked execution for a stranger. For a warrior who would not have done the same for you. Elena thought about that. About the protocols, the prejudices, the walls between species. Maybe. But someone had to start somewhere. Something shifted in the guard's expression. Not quite approval, but recognition. She turned to the crowd. The human healer acted with honor. Let this be recorded. Let it be known. The warriors murmured among themselves, crests flickering through colors Elena was still learning to read. Some showed orange contempt, but others had shifted to blue, the color of respect earned through action. The guard who had first blocked her path stood silent, his crest a confused mix of red and blue. Clear the room, the royal guard ordered. Give the healer space to work. They left slowly, reluctantly, but they left. Elena sagged against the examination table, exhaustion hitting her like a physical weight. The soldier's hand moved, just slightly, fingers curling toward her. She caught his hand in hers, felt the forefinger grip tighten with surprising strength. Thank you, he whispered in broken standard. Thank you, human. Elena squeezed back. Rest now. We'll see about getting you walking again. The royal guard remained after everyone else had gone. She stood by the door, watching Elena clean and organize her equipment with the efficiency of long practice. When Elena finally looked up, the guard spoke. "I am Veara, Shield of the Queen's Chamber." "You have created a problem. Saving lives is a problem. Saving this life is—"
Veara gestured at the soldier.
"He is Corbin, son of the tribal elder Keth, warrior of the Redstone clan. His injury occurred during the honor duel with Clan Darkwater. By our law, interference in such matters carries the penalty of exile. For both healer and patient."
Elena's stomach dropped.
"You're joking. Calthari do not joke about law. Then your law is garbage."
The words came out before Elena could stop them. She waited for Veara to draw her weapon, end this conversation permanently. Instead, Veara's crest flickered with something that might have been amusement.
"The Queen shares your opinion. That is why she sent me to observe. To see if the stories about human healers were true." "What stories?" "That you treat injury without seeing tribe or rank. That you value life above protocol. That you are foolish enough to believe one person can change centuries of tradition."
Veara moved closer, her voice dropping.
"The Queen wishes to meet this fool. You will come with me."
It wasn't a request. Elena looked at Corbin, still unconscious, still fragile despite her repairs.
"He needs monitoring. Someone trained in. I will send our best medical team. They will follow your instructions exactly. You have proven your skill. They will not question your methods again."
Elena wanted to argue, but the steel in Veara's voice made it clear that refusal wasn't an option. She downloaded her treatment protocols onto a data pad, triple-checked Corbin's vitals, and left detailed instructions for the Calthari medics who filed in as she gathered her kit. The walk through the station felt surreal. Veara led her through corridors Elena had never seen, past checkpoints where guards saluted the royal shield with fists over hearts. Other Calthari stopped to stare at the human walking freely beside their queen's protector. Some showed orange contempt, others blue respect, many just confusion. They entered a lift that descended for what felt like miles. Elena's ears popped twice. When the doors opened, they faced a massive chamber carved from black stone, its ceiling lost in shadows. Geometric patterns covered every surface, telling stories Elena couldn't read. At the far end, on a throne that looked grown rather than built, sat the Calthari queen. She was smaller than Elena expected.
No taller than a human woman, her frame compact where most Calthari were built like mountains. But her crest blazed with colors Elena had never seen, shifting patterns that seemed to create new shades with each movement. Her eyes were ancient, holding weight that made Veara look young by comparison.
"Approach,"
the queen said. Her voice carried without effort, filling the chamber. Elena walked forward, acutely aware of her blood-stained clothes, her exhaustion, her complete lack of protocol knowledge. She stopped at what seemed a respectful distance and waited. The queen studied her in silence. Elena fought the urge to fidget, to explain, to fill the quiet with words that would only make things worse. Finally, the queen spoke.
"You touched Corbin of Redstone." "Yes, your majesty. You knew this violated our deepest laws." "I knew people were letting him die because of those laws, yes."
The queen's crest flared red. Elena tensed, ready for guards to appear and drag her away. Instead, the queen laughed. The sound echoed off stone walls, rich and unexpected.
"Veara, you were correct. The human has fire."
The queen stood, descended from her throne with fluid grace. Up close, Elena could see scars crossing her arms, her neck, marks of battles survived.
"I am Queen Thessera. I rule 40 billion Calthari across 16 worlds. I have commanded fleets, ended wars, made laws that will outlive my grandchildren's grandchildren. And I cannot save one warrior who served my house faithfully for 20 years.
Elena blinked.
Corbin served you. His mother did. His grandmother before her. Redstone clan has protected my bloodline for 6 generations. When he was paralyzed in that foolish duel, when I watched my warriors turn away because tradition demanded it.
Thessara's crest darkened to deep purple, the color of grief.
I was powerless, bound by the same laws I enforce. Then change the laws. You think it is so simple? I think letting good people die for bad reasons is wrong. And if you're the queen, you have the power to fix it.
Elena knew she was being reckless, possibly suicidal, but exhaustion had burned away her filter.
You wanted to see if the stories about humans were true? Here's another one for you. We're stubborn. We don't quit just because something's hard.
Thessara regarded her with those ancient eyes.
If I change these laws, I risk civil war. The traditionalist clans will see it as weakness, betrayal of our ancestors. They will challenge my rule. Calvary will die. And if you don't change them, Calvary will keep dying needlessly.
Elena held the queen's gaze.
Corbin almost died today. How many others have you lost to tradition that could have been saved?
The queen turned away, paced to a window that looked out over the station's manufacturing sector. Ships in various stages of construction hung in the void like sleeping giants.
Veara, leave us.
The royal guard hesitated.
My queen, leave. The human will not harm me. I think she is incapable of harming anyone.
Veara bowed and withdrew, though Elena caught the worried look she shot back before the chamber doors sealed. Alone with the most powerful cavalry in known space, Elena suddenly felt very small.
Sit,
Thessara commanded, gesturing to cushions near her throne.
Tell me about human medicine. Tell me how your species learned to heal.
Elena sat, unsure where this was going.
We had to. Humans are fragile compared to most species. We break easily, get sick easily, die easily.
So we got good at fixing each other. We had to, or we'd never have survived. And anyone can be healed? There are no restrictions based on tribe, on rank, on circumstance of injury? Some human cultures had restrictions historically. But modern medicine operates on triage principles. You treat whoever needs it most, whoever you can save. Everything else is secondary.
Thessara settled onto her throne, her crest shifting through thoughtful blues and greens.
This concept. Triage. Explain it fully.
So Elena did. She talked about battlefield medicine, about disaster response, about the ethical frameworks that guided human doctors. She described the oath she'd taken, the promise to do no harm, to treat all patients equally regardless of who they were or how they'd been injured. She talked until her voice grew hoarse, until the chamber's lighting shifted to indicate station night cycle. Through it all, Thessara listened with absolute focus. She asked questions that cut to the heart of complex issues, challenged assumptions, made Elena think harder about principles she'd always taken for granted. This wasn't just a queen seeking information.
This was a leader trying to reshape her civilization's moral foundation.
You have given me much to consider,
Thessara said finally.
But I must ask one more question. When you defied my warrior, when you touched Corbin knowing it might cost your life, were you afraid?
Elena thought back to that moment. The guard's hand on his weapon, the crowd's hostility, the weight of centuries of tradition pressing down.
Terrified. Yet you acted anyway. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing the right thing anyway.
Elena smiled tiredly.
Another human saying, "We have a lot of those."
Thessara's crest blazed with colors that seemed almost like laughter.
I begin to understand why your species has survived despite your fragility. You compensate with sheer stubborn courage.
She stood, and Elena quickly rose as well.
Return to Corbin. Monitor his recovery. I will send word when I have made my decision. Decision about what? Whether to risk civil war for the chance of a better future. Whether one human's conviction is worth 40 billion Calvary learning a new way to live.
Thesara's expression grew distant.
Whether tradition deserves more loyalty than the lives it destroys.
Elena bowed, not sure what else to do, and turned to leave. Thesara's voice stopped her at the door.
Dr. Cross, if Corbin walks again, if your methods prove sound, I will need you to teach them. To train Calvary medics in human triage, human ethics, human stubbornness.
The Queen's crest shimmered with determination.
Will you help me save my people from themselves?
Elena looked back at the small figure on the massive throne, at the weight she carried, at the impossible choice she faced.
Yes, your majesty. I will.
The smile Thesera gave her held both hope and sorrow.
Then, let us see if one human and one foolish queen can change the universe. Or if the universe will crush us for trying.
3 days later, Corbin moved his lower left hand. Just a finger twitch, barely perceptible, but Elena caught it during her hourly examination. She read every scan twice, hardly daring to believe the results. The neural pathways were regenerating faster than any model predicted. The synthetic bone had integrated perfectly. Against all odds, all precedent, all reasonable medical expectations, he was healing.
Try again,
she told him.
Take your time.
Corbin's face contorted with concentration. His finger curled, straightened, curled again. Then, his whole hand moved, lifting an inch off the bed. Elena heard herself laugh, giddy with relief.
You're going to walk again,
she said.
I don't know when, but you're going to walk.
Tears tracked down Corbin's face, mixing with the purple flush of Calvary emotion.
My family. They came yesterday. They were told I would die paralyzed and dishonored. I could not even speak to comfort them. You can speak now. Want me to call them back?
He gripped her hand with his upper right, the one that had never lost mobility.
First, I want to thank you properly. You gave me my life back. How can I ever repay such a debt? Get better. That's all the payment I need.
Elena checked his vitals again, pleased with every reading.
Though you could tell me what this duel was about. Veara mentioned it, but didn't explain.
Corbin's crest darkened with shame.
Clan Darkwater challenged Redstone's honor. They claimed our ancestors had stolen territory 3 centuries ago, demanded we return it or face combat.
I fought their champion to defend my clan's reputation. I was winning.
His voice turned bitter.
Then, I was on the ground, unable to move, and winning meant nothing. Did they stop when you were paralyzed?
No.
Their champion would have killed me. It was his right. But the duel master called a halt, declared the match invalid due to my injury.
Corbin's hand tightened on hers.
Do you understand what that means? Not a loss, not a victory. Invalid. As if I was too broken to even deserve defeat. My clan's honor remains contested. I brought them shame instead of resolution.
Elena thought about that. About warrior culture, about pride, about the weight of carrying your family's reputation into battle.
Can you challenge them again? Once you've healed? The law forbids it. An invalid duel cannot be refought. Darkwater can claim moral victory, and Redstone cannot respond without violating the covenant of single combat. We are paralyzed just as surely as I was.
Before Elena could respond, the medical bay door slid open. Veara entered, her expression unreadable.
Dr. Cross, the Queen summons you. Immediately.
Elena's stomach nodded. Something in Veara's tone felt wrong. Is there a problem? That depends entirely on your perspective. Come.
Elena squeezed Corbin's hand once more, promised to return soon, and followed Veara into the corridor. They walked in tense silence,
taking a different route than before, climbing instead of descending. They emerged onto an observation deck Elena had never accessed, one that overlooked the station's main assembly hall. Below, thousands of Calthari packed the space. Clan banners hung from every wall, colors clashing in a riot of tradition. At the center, on a raised platform, stood Queen Thessera. Her crest blazed white and gold, colors of royal proclamation. "Watch," Bayara said quietly, "and understand what you have set in motion." Thessera raised her upper arms, and silence fell like a hammer. "I am Queen Thessera, Shield of the Morning Sun, voice of the Ancestral Council, bearer of the Star Crown. I speak with the authority of 40 generations of rulers who came before me. Hear me now and witness." Her voice carried through the hall, amplified somehow, reaching every corner. 3 days ago, a warrior of Redstone clan fell in honorable combat. He was paralyzed, dying, beyond the help of our medics. Our law demanded he be allowed to die. Our tradition demanded we watch without interference. Our pride demanded we let alien hands remain clean of Calthari blood. The crowd stirred, uncertain where this was leading. Elena saw Corbin's family in the front rows, their crests showing fearful orange. A human healer defied those demands. She touched Corbin when all Calthari turned away. She saved him when our own honor condemned him to death. She showed us that our laws, our traditions, our pride, have become chains that strangle us. Thessara's crest flared blood red. Today I break those chains. The hall erupted. Shouts of approval mixed with roars of outrage. Warriors reached for weapons. Clan leaders stood from their seats, their crests blazing challenge colors. Bayara tensed beside Elena, hand on her sidearm. Thessera waited for the chaos to peak, then spoke a single word that somehow cut through everything. "Enough." Silence returned, fragile and resentful. "I declare a new law." Thessera continued. "Henceforth, any wounded Calthari may be treated by any qualified healer, regardless of species, regardless of circumstance of injury, regardless of tradition. Medical necessity supersedes honor protocols. Life supersedes pride. This I command as your queen." A Calthari warrior stepped forward, his armor marked with symbols Elena recognized as Clan Darkwater. "You have no right to overturn the covenant of single combat. Our ancestors are dead." Thessera cut him off. "We are alive. And I will not watch my people die for the comfort of ghosts." She descended from the platform, walked through the crowd until she stood before the Darkwater warrior. "You challenged Redstone. You paralyzed their champion, but could not defeat him. Now he heals. I declare your challenge void. If you wish to contest Redstone's honor, you will face Corbin again when he is recovered. A true duel. One that can actually be decided." The warrior's crest flashed through a dozen colors, settling on purple confusion. "But the law forbids. I am the law. And I say you will have your true victory or your true defeat. Not this shameful invalid status that serves no one." Thessera's voice softened slightly. "I know change is frightening. I know tradition provides comfort. But I have watched too many warriors die needlessly. I have held too many mothers as they grieved children who could have been saved. No more." She turned to address the entire assembly. "This human healer risked her life to save one of ours. She showed courage our own warriors could not. She offered us a mirror, and the reflection shamed us. We can smash the mirror and pretend we look fine. Or we can learn from what it showed us and become better." An elder Calthari, her crest faded with age, stood slowly. "You ask us to abandon everything we are. I ask you to remember what we were meant to be. Warriors, yes. But also protectors. Also healers. Also people who value life enough to fight for it. Thus Sarah met the elder's eyes.
Your granddaughter died in the Rim Wars. Spinal injury, neural trauma, wounds we could not treat. I remember, Matriarch Seville. I remember holding your hand at her funeral.
The elder's crest cycled through grief colors.
I remember, too. With human medical knowledge, she would have lived. Paralyzed, perhaps, but alive. You could have had more years with her. She could have taught her children the warrior songs you taught her.
Thesara's voice cracked. How many more granddaughters must we bury before we admit that our pride costs too much?
Seville stood silent for a long moment. Then she bowed, deep and formal.
I support the new law, my queen. Let my granddaughter be the last who dies needlessly.
Others began to stand. Not all, not even most, but enough. Warriors and elders, clan leaders and common soldiers, all offering their support. The hall remained deeply divided, tension crackling like electricity, but the revolution had begun. Vayara touched Elena's arm.
Come! You should not be seen watching this. Some will blame you for the divisions this creates.
They retreated from the observation deck. Elena's mind spun with what she'd witnessed.
Will there be war? Perhaps. Perhaps not. The Queen has gambled everything on the belief that most Calthari are tired of watching their loved ones die for tradition.
Vayara's expression turned thoughtful.
She has also gambled that you can deliver on your promise. That human medicine can save those we thought beyond saving. I can't save everyone. Medicine has limits. But you can save some.
And some is infinitely better than none.
They reached the medical bay, but Vayara stopped Elena before she could enter.
The Queen has assigned me as your permanent protection. There will be attempts on your life. Traditionalists who see you as the source of this upheaval. They will not be subtle.
Elena's mouth went dry.
Great. Just what I needed. Do not fear. I am very good at my profession. You will live to teach our medics, to train our healers, to watch Corbin walk again.
Vayara's crest shifted to determined blue.
The Queen has chosen her path. Now we must ensure she survives long enough to see it through.
The assassination attempt came 2 days later. A medic Elena had been training, a young Calthari named Soren, brought her morning meal as usual. Elena had just taken her first bite when Vayara appeared from nowhere, struck the plate from her hands, and put Soren against the wall with a blade at his throat.
The food is poisoned,
Vayara said calmly.
Slow-acting nerve toxin. You would have died in your sleep.
Soren's crest flashed terror yellow.
I did not know. They told me it was harmless, just something to make her sick, to prove humans are too weak to teach us. Who told you?
Vayara pressed the blade harder.
Names. Now.
The young medic gave them up, sobbing. Vayara called for guards, had Soren removed, and then calmly ordered replacement breakfast as if nothing had happened. Elena stared at her half-eaten food, stomach churning.
Welcome to politics,
Vayara said.
It only gets worse from here.
She was right. Over the following weeks, Elena faced sabotaged equipment, contaminated supplies, and 3 more assassination attempts. Vayara stopped them all, her vigilance absolute, her methods efficient and often brutal. Bodies piled up. Traditionalists who wouldn't settle for peaceful resistance, who saw murder as the only way to preserve their way of life. Through it all, Elena continued teaching. She trained medical teams in triage protocols, in spinal reconstruction techniques, in the fundamental ethics of treating patients as people rather than members of tribes. Some students embraced the lessons eagerly. Others attended because the Queen commanded it, their crests showing orange resentment. And Corman kept healing.
By week 2, he could move both lower arms. By week 3, he sat up unassisted. By week 4, he stood with support, his legs trembling but functional.
Elena documented everything, sharing the data with every medical facility in Calthary space. Proof that the human methods worked. Evidence that tradition had been wrong. The Darkwater clan leader demanded an audience. Queen Thessera granted it, with Elena present as witness. The leader, a massive warrior named Keth, knelt before the throne with barely contained fury coloring his crest. "The human has cheated my clan of our rightful victory," Keth growled. "Corbin was defeated. Now he is healed. This violates the spirit of the duel. The duel was declared invalid," Thessera reminded him. "No victory, no defeat. You still have your chance to settle this properly. When? He grows stronger every day while we wait. Soon, he will be better than before he was injured. We will face not the warrior we defeated, but a new warrior trained by human science." Keth's crest blazed challenge red. "I demand immediate combat. Before he fully recovers. Before the human's interference tips the balance further." Elena started to object, but Thessera raised a hand, silencing her. "You fear losing to Corbin once he is healed completely. You want to strike while he is still weak, still recovering. This is not honor, Keth. This is cowardice." The insult hung in the air like a drawn weapon. Keth's hand moved toward his blade. Thayara shifted position slightly, ready to defend her queen. The throne room held its breath. Then Keth laughed. The sound was bitter, defeated. "You are right, my queen. I am afraid. Afraid that everything I believe, everything my clan stands for, is being proven false by one human and one paralyzed warrior who refused to die. I came here demanding combat, but I think I truly came seeking permission to surrender." Thessera descended from her throne, approached Keth where he knelt. The covenant of single combat was meant to prevent endless blood feuds, to let warriors settle disputes without dragging entire clans into war. But somewhere we lost sight of that purpose. We made the duels themselves sacred, forgot they were only ever meant as tools. She placed her hand on Keth's shoulder. "Your dispute with Redstone is over territory claimed 3 centuries ago. Territory neither clan has set foot on in generations. Land that matters only because admitting it doesn't matter would require questioning why your ancestors fought for it in the first place." Keth's crest cycled through shame colors. "You ask me to dishonor them. I ask you to free yourself from their ghosts. The land is worthless, Keth. Asteroid rock and empty space. But your warrior died in the first duel. Redstone's warrior nearly died in the second. How many more lives will you spend on worthless rock before you admit the price is too high? If I withdraw the challenge, Darkwater becomes a laughingstock. The clan that surrendered without resolution. My leadership will be challenged, possibly overthrown. Perhaps. Or perhaps you become the clan that chose life over pride. The first to embrace the new way." Thessera smiled. "I am asking the impossible of all my people. Let me make it slightly easier by offering you an alternative. Which is, Corbin of Redstone is being trained in human medicine. He will become our first Calthary healer who can perform the spinal reconstructions, the neural repairs, all the techniques Dr. Cross has taught us. He will save lives that would otherwise be lost." The Queen's crest shimmered with calculated cunning. What if Darkwater sponsored this training? Provided resources, funding, prestige. Instead of being the clan that lost to Redstone, you become the clan that helped revolutionize Calthary medicine. Keth looked up sharply. "You want us to support the warrior who defeated our champion? I want you to support the future. Corbin is just the symbol." Thessera glanced at Elena, though I suspect he would appreciate the irony. The clan that paralyzed him funding his training to heal others. Elena caught the hint, stepped forward. "Corbin speaks very highly of Darkwater's combat skills. He told me your champion fought with extraordinary technique. That kind of warrior discipline would translate well to surgical precision. It was a stretch, probably transparent, but Kat's crest flickered with interest.
You think Darkwater warriors could become healers? I think anyone dedicated enough to master combat could master medicine. Both require control, precision, commitment to excellence.
Elena met his eyes.
The question is whether you're brave enough to try something harder than fighting.
The challenge in her words was deliberate. Kath heard it, understood it, and something in his expression shifted.
Dr. Cross, if I may ask a human question, why do you care? Our clans, our disputes, our traditions. None of this affects your species. You could have let Corvin die, avoided all this chaos. Why didn't you?
Elena thought about all the easy answers.
The oath she'd taken, the medical ethics, the moral imperative.
But Kath deserved the truth.
Because I was tired of watching people die for stupid reasons. Humans do it too. We fight over territory, resources, ideology, pride. We kill each other in vast numbers and call it honor, call it necessity, call it anything except what it is. Murder.
She gestured around the throne room.
I can't fix my own species. We're too fractured, too stubborn. But maybe I can help yours. Maybe one species in this universe can learn to value life over tradition. That's worth dying for, I think.
Kath stood slowly, drew his blade.
They are tensed, but the clan leader simply knelt again and offered the weapon to Thessera, hilt first.
Darkwater clan withdraws its challenge against Redstone. We will sponsor Corvin's medical training. And we will send 3 of our finest warriors to learn human healing techniques.
His crest showed blue respect mixed with purple uncertainty.
I do not know if this is wisdom or madness, my queen. But I am too tired to keep fighting ghosts. Let us try living for the future instead.
Thessera accepted the blade, then returned it immediately.
Your wisdom honors your clan, Kath, and gives me hope that we might survive this transformation after all.
After Kath left, Elena found herself alone with the queen. Thessera poured 2 glasses of something purple and, vaguely alcoholic, handed one to Elena.
I do not often drink with subordinates,
the queen said.
But you are not truly subordinate, are you? You have become something stranger. An advisor I did not appoint. A revolutionary I did not recruit. A friend I did not expect to make.
Elena sipped the drink, found it sweet and burning simultaneously.
Are we friends? I honestly can't tell. Neither can I.
But you have appended my civilization, destroyed traditions older than your species' written history, and somehow made me grateful for the chaos.
Thessera's laugh was tired.
If that is not friendship, I do not know what is.
They drank in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Thessera spoke again, her voice softer.
There will be war. Not immediately, perhaps not for years, but it will come. The traditionalist clans are gathering strength, waiting for the right moment to strike. They will not let their way of life die quietly. Can you win? Against my own people? There are no winners in civil war, Dr. Cross. Only survivors.
Thessera stared into her glass.
But I cannot turn back now. I have made my choice. Either we change or we deserve to be swept away by species more adaptable than ourselves.
Elena thought about that. About civilizations rising and falling, about the weight of leadership, about the courage required to destroy your own legacy for the chance of something better.
Then we make sure the change is worth the cost, she said. We train so many healers that going back becomes unthinkable. We save so many lives that the old ways become obviously inferior. We prove that your choice was right.
Thessera raised her glass.
To proving ourselves right. Or dying in the attempt. To dying in the attempt.
Elena echoed.
Since that's looking increasingly likely.
They drank to their own potential doom. Outside, the universe continued spinning, ignorant and uncaring. Inside, two people from different species, different worlds, different philosophies, bet everything on the radical notion that life mattered more than tradition. History would judge whether they were visionaries or fools. For now, they simply refused to let more people die needlessly. That, Elena thought, would have to be enough. 6 months after that first desperate surgery, Corbin walked into the medical bay unassisted. His gait was careful, slightly uneven, but functional. Elena looked up from her teaching console, and the smile that crossed her face felt like sunrise. "Show off," she said. "I learned from the best." Corbin executed a formal bow, all 4 arms moving in perfect synchronization. "Dr. Cross, I have completed my preliminary medical training. I can perform basic neural repairs, spinal stabilization, and emergency trauma response. I am ready to begin advanced studies." Elena stood, examined his movements with a clinician's eye. "Any pain? Numbness? Weakness? Some stiffness in my lower back after long periods of standing. Occasional tingling in my left leg. Nothing that impairs function." He met her eyes. "Nothing that should prevent me from saving lives." Pride swelled in Elena's chest. "No. Nothing that should prevent that at all." Over the following months, Corbin proved to be a gifted student. He absorbed human medical knowledge with frightening speed, adapted techniques to Calthary physiology, and trained other warriors with patience Elena hadn't known he possessed. The 3 Darkwater warriors Keth had sent proved equally dedicated, though their bedside manner needed work. "You cannot threaten patients into healing faster," Elena explained for the 5th time. "They are injured, not insubordinate." The warrior, a female named Skara, looked genuinely confused. But if they understood the consequences of failing to recover, they would be stressed, which slows healing. "We've been over this." Skara's crest flickered frustrated orange. "Human medicine makes no sense. You coddle weakness instead of demanding strength. We support recovery instead of punishing injury. There's a difference." Elena pulled up a chart showing stress hormones' impact on healing rates. "Look, when patients feel threatened, their bodies go into defensive mode. Resources that should go to repair get diverted to preparing for combat. They literally heal slower." But Skara stopped, studied the data, her crest shifting to thoughtful blue. "That is tactically inefficient." "Exactly. So we make patients feel safe and supported, which optimizes their recovery. It's not coddling. It's strategic resource allocation." Framing it in military terms seemed to help. Skara nodded slowly, though Elena suspected she'd still have to break up the warrior threatening a patient to heal faster within the week. Cultural change took time. The graduates of Elena's program began spreading across Calthary space, setting up medical centers, teaching others, saving lives that would have been lost. Reports flooded in. A shuttle crash survivor who would have been paralyzed, now walking. A construction accident victim with crushed vertebrae, now returning to work. A warrior injured in training, recovered fully instead of being retired with honor. Each success strengthened Thesara's position. Each life saved was an argument against returning to the old ways. But the traditionalists weren't idle either. They gathered in the outer systems, away from the Queen's direct authority. They denounced the new medicine as corruption of Calthary purity. They told stories of warriors weakened by human coddling, of ancient traditions destroyed, of a queen who had betrayed her ancestors for alien approval. Some of it was propaganda. Some of it held grains of truth that made it harder to dismiss. Calthary's society was changing, and change always left casualties. Elena tried not to think about the civil war Thesara had predicted. Tried to focus on the work, on the patients, on the measurable good she was accomplishing. But late at night, alone in her quarters with Vayara standing silent guard outside, she wondered if she'd done the right thing.
One life had spiraled into a revolution. Was Corvin's survival worth the cost if it tore an entire civilization apart? She didn't have an answer. So she kept working, kept teaching, kept saving anyone she could reach. It was all she knew how to do. The summons came on a quiet morning. Sarah requested Elena's presence in the throne room. Formal tone, no explanation. Elena went with Vayara at her side, trying to ignore the knot of anxiety in her stomach. The throne room was packed. Every clan leader, every major house, warriors and elders filling every available space. In the center stood Corvin, wearing medical insignia Elena had designed, his crest showing confident blue. Sarah rose as Elena approached. Dr. Elena Cross, you have trained 47 Calthary healers in human medical techniques. Those healers have saved 216 lives in the past 6 months. Lives that would have been lost under our old protocols. The Queen's voice carried to every corner. You have challenged our traditions, disrupted our society, and forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. You have made enemies among those who prefer comfortable lies. You have risked your life repeatedly for a people not your own, for principles you believe transcend species. Elena had no idea where this was going. The formal tone felt ominous, like a trial. She stood silent, waiting. Today, the Council of Clans has voted, Sarah continued. By a margin of 63 to 47, they have approved a new position in Calthary society. Chief Medical Advisor, reporting directly to the throne, with authority to set medical policy across all our worlds. The Queen descended from her throne, stood before Elena. I offer you this position, Dr. Cross. Not as a human serving Calthary, but as a healer serving life itself. Will you accept? The throne room held its breath. Elena looked at Corvin, who nodded encouragement. At Vayara, whose crest showed rare approval. At the assembled clan leaders, split between hope and resentment. Your Majesty, I'm honored. But I need to know something first. Elena met Thesara's eyes. If civil war comes, which side will the healers be expected to serve? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Thesara's expression showed approval at the question. The healers will serve all wounded, regardless of faction. That is the core of what you have taught us. Life transcends politics. Even if that means saving your enemies? Especially then. If we fight, it will be tragedy enough. Let us not compound it by abandoning our wounded to prove ideological points. Thus Sarah held out her hand, human style. I cannot promise this will be easy. I cannot promise you will survive it. I can only promise it will matter. Is that enough? Elena thought about Corvin, paralyzed and dying while his own people turned away. About the 216 lives saved and the thousands more that could be. About the civil war that might come and the principle that life mattered more than choosing sides. She took Thesara's hand. It's enough. I accept. The throne room erupted. Cheers from the progressives, angry shouts from traditionalists, chaos and celebration mixing into something that sounded like the future being born in pain and hope. Vayara leaned close to Elena's ear. Congratulations on your promotion. I should mention that attempted assassinations typically increase by 200% after advancing to advisor level. Of course they do. Elena sighed. Do I get a raise to compensate? Calthary advisors traditionally work for honor and the satisfaction of serving the crown. So that's a no? That is definitely a no. Despite everything, despite the danger and the uncertainty and the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders, Elena laughed. She'd come to this station expecting to practice medicine, treat injuries, maybe make a small difference in a few lives. Instead, she'd started a revolution. Become an advisor to an alien queen. Made enemies who wanted her dead, and allies who needed her to survive. Not bad for a fragile human who broke easily. Thus Sarah raised her arms, called for silence. When the throne room quieted, she spoke again.
This vote was close. Many of you oppose the changes I have made. I understand your concerns. I respect your commitment to our traditions. But I will not apologize for choosing life over comfort.
She paused. Let that sink in.
To those who support this new direction, I say thank you. Your courage gives me strength. To those who oppose it, I say this: I am still your queen. I still value your counsel.
And the day I stop listening to dissent is the day I become the tyrant you fear I am becoming.
An elder warrior stood, his crest showing respect blue despite obvious disagreement.
You have divided us, my queen. Whether wisely or foolishly, time will tell. But divided we are. How do you propose to govern a people split so evenly? By being worthy of the trust both sides place in me. By proving that change can happen without destroying what makes us Calthary. By showing that we can adapt and still honor our ancestors.
Thesara's voice strengthened.
And by making absolutely certain that no matter what comes, we never again watch our warriors die needlessly, while tradition demands we do nothing.
The elder considered this, then bowed.
I remain unconvinced, my queen. But I will watch and judge by results rather than rhetoric. That is all any of us can promise. That is all I ask. Watch. Judge. And if I am wrong, you have the right to say so.
Thesara smiled grimly.
That is what makes me a queen rather than a dictator. I can be challenged, questioned, even replaced. But until that day comes, I will fight for every life in my realm. Human, Calthary, or otherwise.
She turned to Elena.
Dr. Cross, your first task as Chief Medical Advisor is to establish medical centers in each of the 12 primary systems. You will need staff, supplies, funding, and more patience than any human should reasonably possess. Begin immediately.
Elena bowed, matching Calthary formality.
Yes, Your Majesty.
As the assembly dispersed, clan leaders approached Elena. Some offered genuine congratulations. Others issued veiled threats disguised as concerns. A few simply studied her, trying to understand what made this small human worth appending their entire civilization. Corbin stayed close, running interference when needed, providing support with his presence. When the crowd finally thinned, he spoke quietly.
You saved my life twice now. Once on the medical table. Once by giving my recovery meaning beyond personal survival.
His crest showed deep blue gratitude.
I owe you more than I can ever repay. You're repaying it every time you save a life using what I taught you. Every patient who walks again because you know how to rebuild a spine. That's all the payment I need.
Elena smiled tiredly. Though if you could teach me which crest colors mean definitely planning to murder you, that would be helpful. Most of them, unfortunately.
Corbin's attempt at humor fell flat.
Dr. Cross, Elena, the civil war the Queen predicted, it is coming. Sooner than she thinks. I have family in the outer systems. They send me messages. The traditionalist clans are not just complaining. They are organizing, training, preparing. How long do we have? Months. A year at most. They are waiting for something, some incident they can use to justify open rebellion. When it comes, they will move fast and hard.
Elena felt cold despite the throne room's warmth.
What do? We prepare. We train as many healers as possible before the fighting starts. We make sure medical centers exist in both progressive and traditionalist territories. We prove that our principles of treating all wounded apply regardless of politics.
Corbin's crest cycled through determined colors.
And we accept that some people will kill us for it. Cheerful thought. Truthful thought. You have changed Calthary civilization forever, Elena. Some will love you for it. Others will hate you.
Neither group will let you go quietly into the night.
Elena looked around the throne room, at the symbols of 40 generations of monarchy, at the weight of history pressing down from every wall.
You know what the really absurd part is? I just wanted to be a doctor. Fix injuries, save lives, go home at the end of the day knowing I'd helped someone. Nice and simple. How is that working out for you? Terribly. Absolutely terribly.
She laughed, slightly hysterical.
I'm in way over my head, Corbin. I'm a trauma surgeon, not a revolutionary. I don't know how to navigate Calthary politics or prevent civil wars or survive assassination attempts. I'm making this up as I go and hoping I don't get everyone killed. Then, you are doing it exactly right,
Corbin said seriously.
The people who think they know how to change civilizations are usually tyrants. The people who admit they are terrified and try anyway, those are the ones who might actually succeed.
Before Elena could respond, Bayara appeared.
Dr. Cross, we need to leave. Now.
The urgency in her tone killed all humor.
What's wrong? Bomb threat. Credible. Targeting this wing.
Bayara was already moving, pulling Elena toward the exit.
The Queen is being evacuated through the primary route. You are secondary priority, which means we go fast and quiet.
They ran through service corridors Elena had never seen, Bayara's hand on her weapon, every sense alert. Behind them, alarms began to wail. Ahead, an explosion shook the station, close enough that Elena felt the shockwave through the floor.
They are not waiting for an incident,
Bayara said grimly.
They are creating one. Move faster.
They burst into a maintenance shaft, started descending the emergency ladder. Above them, more explosions. Screams. The sound of the station tearing itself apart. The Civil War had begun. And Elena was climbing down a ladder in the dark, wondering if she'd just destroyed an entire civilization by refusing to let one warrior die with honor. The universe, as always, declined to answer. They reached the evacuation shuttle as another explosion rocked the station. Bayara shoved Elena through the hatch, sealed it behind them, and hit the launch sequence without waiting for clearance.
The shuttle dropped away from the station, maneuvering thrusters firing hard. Through the viewport, Elena watched the throne station burn. Sections vented atmosphere, spitting debris glittering like deadly snow. Ships were launching from every dock, some fleeing, some moving to fight the fires, some she suspected heading to join whichever side they'd chosen.
The Queen?
Elena asked.
Safe. She made it to her command ship. She is organizing rescue efforts now.
Bayara's hands moved across controls, plotting a course.
We are heading to the medical station you established in the third system. It is far from the fighting, well defended, and neutral enough that both sides might leave it alone. Might.
The shuttle jumped to faster than light, and the burning station vanished. Elena sat in numb silence, trying to process what had just happened. The careful political balance that Sarah had maintained shattered in minutes. The slow transformation Elena had hoped for, replaced by sudden violence.
How many dead?
She asked quietly.
Unknown. Dozens at minimum.
Possibly hundreds if the structural damage was severe.
Bayara's expression remained controlled, but her crest showed dark purple grief.
3 clan leaders were confirmed in the throne room. If they died, their clans will demand vengeance. The spiral begins, and it's my fault.
No. Bayara's voice cut like a blade.
It is the fault of those who chose bombs over dialogue. You saved lives. They are choosing to end them. Do not confuse cause and effect.
But Elena couldn't shake the weight of responsibility. If she'd just let Corbin die, none of this would have happened. The traditions would have held. The peace would have continued. Hundreds, maybe thousands of Calthary would still be alive. One life. she'd saved one life. And the cost kept climbing. The medical station appeared on their scopes, a small facility orbiting a gas giant far from any major population center. Elena had chosen the location specifically because it was inconvenient, hard to reach, easily ignored. Now that isolation might be their only protection. They docked without incident. Vara hustled Elena inside, ran security sweeps, established defensive positions. The small staff, 3 human nurses and, for Calthary medics Corbin had trained, gathered in the main bay looking terrified. "Listen up," Elena said, forcing strength into her voice she didn't feel. "You've all seen the news. The Civil War has started. Both sides will have wounded. Both sides will need medical care. We will provide it without choosing sides. Anyone who comes through those doors gets treatment based on medical need, not political affiliation. Understood?" The humans nodded immediately. The Calthary hesitated, exchanging glances, crests showing uncertain colors. "This is exactly what we trained for," Elena continued. "The principle that life matters more than politics, more than tradition, more than choosing sides. If you can't commit to that, leave now. I won't think less of you. But I won't have anyone here who might refuse to treat a patient because of their clan affiliation." One of the Calthary, a young male named Turbeck, spoke up. "Dr. Cross, if we treat warriors from both sides will see us as traitors. We will have no protection. We'll have our principles. And we'll have each other." Elena met each person's eyes in turn. "I won't lie. This will be dangerous. We might not survive it. But we'll save lives that would otherwise be lost. We'll prove that even in war, some things remain sacred. If that's not worth the risk, I don't know what is." Slowly, one by one, they nodded. Even Turbeck, though his crest still showed fear yellow mixed with blue determination. "Good. Then, let's get ready. Stock supplies, prepare surgical bays, establish triage protocols. When the wounded start coming, we need to be ready to handle anything." They worked through the night. Elena sent messages to other medical stations across Calthary space, coordinating responses, sharing protocols, building a network of neutral healing centers that might survive the coming chaos. Responses came back mixed. Some facilities pledged to follow her lead. Others declared for one side or the other. A few simply went dark, their staff evacuating or choosing sides. 3 days after the initial attack, their first patients arrived. A damaged transport carrying wounded from both traditionalist and progressive factions, survivors from a skirmish in the asteroid belt. The captain, a grizzled merchant who'd apparently decided neutrality was profitable, dumped them all in Elena's medical bay and left before getting drawn into the conflict. Elena and her team worked for 18 hours straight. Plasma burns, shrapnel wounds, decompression injuries, the brutal mathematics of violence made flesh. Calthary warriors who'd been trying to kill each other hours earlier lay on adjacent tables, united in pain and need. Some refused treatment when they realized enemies were being cared for beside them. Elena gave them a choice: accept help or leave. Most chose help. Pride mattered less when you were bleeding out. Others asked to be treated only by Calthary medics, not by human hands. Elena honored those requests when possible, though she made sure they understood that Calthary medics had learned their techniques from a human. The irony was lost on no one. One warrior, a traditionalist with severe spinal damage, regained consciousness as Elena was operating. His crest flared orange fury when he recognized her. "Get away from me, human. I will not be corrupted by your medicine." Elena didn't pause in her work. "You have about 15 minutes before paralysis becomes permanent. Your choice. My corrupting medicine, or spending the rest of your life unable to move below your upper arms." Better paralyzed with honor than healed by alien hands. Fine.
Elena started to step back. Then, another voice cut in. A progressive warrior on the next table, barely conscious but aware enough to speak.
Shut up and let her save you, you idiot. I watched you fight. You're good. Too good to waste on stupid pride.
The traditionalist's crest cycled through confused colors.
You are my enemy. Right now, I'm your neighbor in a medical bay. And I'm telling you that Dr. Cross is the best there is. I'm alive because she taught our medics how to fix what your plasma rifle did to my chest. Let her help you.
The traditionalist looked at Elena, at the progressive warrior, at his own hands that could still move while his legs lay dead and useless.
If you heal me, I will return to the fight. I will kill more of your allies.
Probably, Elena agreed.
But you'll do it walking, not paralyzed. I can live with that. Can you?
Long silence. Then, quietly,
do what you must, human.
Elena went back to work. She rebuilt his spine, repaired his neural tissue, gave him his mobility back. When she finished, he studied his hands flexing, his legs responding to commands. His crest showed colors Elena couldn't quite interpret.
Thank you,
he said finally.
I still think you are destroying everything sacred about Calthary culture. But thank you. You're welcome. Try not to die out there. I'd hate to waste good work.
It became their pattern. Wounded arrived from both sides, and Elena's team treated them all. Word spread. The neutral medical stations became known as safe zones, places where the fighting paused, where enemies could be evacuated without fear of execution or capture. Some commanders on both sides respected that neutrality. Others tried to use it as an advantage, attacking medical transports or targeting facilities. Those attempts ended badly. The Ara had called in favors, and, suddenly, the medical stations had defense fleets. Not enough to fight a war, but enough to make attacking them costly. Thus Sarah sent a message 3 weeks into the fighting.
You have created something remarkable, Dr. Cross.
Islands of sanity in an ocean of madness. Both sides hate you for it, which means you are doing it exactly right. Stay safe. Stay neutral. And keep saving lives. That is an order.
Elena laughed when she read it. Orders she could follow. Purpose she could understand. She was a doctor. This was what she did. The fact that civilization was collapsing around her was almost secondary. Almost. The months ground on. The war settled into brutal stalemate, neither side strong enough to win, both too committed to surrender. Casualties mounted. The medical stations filled with wounded, emptied as patients recovered, filled again in an endless cycle. Elena lost track of how many lives she saved. Hundreds, certainly. Maybe thousands. Progressive and traditionalist, warriors and civilians, true believers and conscripts who'd never wanted to fight. She treated them all, sent them back to their sides, and tried not to think about the fact that she was just extending the war by keeping both armies functional. Corbin visited when he could, between training new medics and coordinating the expanding network of neutral facilities. He'd aged in the months of fighting, his crest showing strained colors, his movements carrying weight that hadn't been there before. The Queen asks if you need anything, he said during one visit. Supplies, staff, reinforcements for your defense fleet. Tell her I need the war to end. Failing that, more synthetic bone compound and neural tissue patches. We're running low. I will tell her both, though I suspect only one is achievable. They sat in tired silence, watching the gas giant turn slowly beneath the station. Beautiful and indifferent, like the universe itself. Do you regret it? Corbin asked quietly. Saving me? Starting all this? Elena thought about that. About the lives saved and the lives lost,
about the civilization transforming in blood and fire, about the cost of principles when principles demanded everything.
"Ask me again when it's over,"
she said.
"If we survive to see the end, maybe I'll have an answer."
Corbin's crest flickered with something that might have been a smile.
"That is fair, I suppose. Though I suspect the end is further away than either of us hopes."
He was right. The war continued. Elena kept working. And somewhere in the smoke and the blood and the endless parade of wounded, she found a truth she hadn't expected. She'd saved one warrior because it was the right thing to do. She'd never intended to start a revolution, transform a civilization, or prove that some principles mattered more than survival. But she'd do it again. Every time. Without hesitation. Because that was what it meant to be a healer. You saved lives. You fought death. You stood between injury and oblivion and refused to move. The universe could judge her for it. History could call her a fool or a visionary or a disaster who destroyed more than she saved. But the warriors walking on legs that should have been paralyzed, breathing with lungs that should have been still, living lives that should have been over, they would remember. And that, Elena thought, would have to be enough.